we are back, this time reacting to Dr. Eric Berg, doctor meaning doctor of chiropractic. He is one of the more well-known people in the nutrition space right now. He has over 2 million followers, several million across platforms, and he is known for giving some very interesting nutrition advice, to say the least. He's not very highly looked upon among nutrition experts, but I want to look through some of his videos and give you some of my opinions on what he says so you can see why that might be. So, many million followers, 14 million on YouTube. You've most likely seen him before, but if not, this will be your introduction. So I'm just going to scroll through. I'll start with his most popular videos, and then I will look at some of the other ones that have gotten a good amount of views, hopefully ones that are related mostly to nutrition, and then we'll see what I think of them.
If you eat eggs every single day for 2 weeks, this is what would happen. You're going to be consuming the best quality protein. Your must.
Okay. Alrighty, best quality protein. He's right. Eggs have animal protein. Animal protein is a complete protein. It has all the essential amino acids that you need. Is that the most important thing? No. Eggs are also not the most protein-dense food out there. They're actually pretty high in calories and pretty high in fat, meaning they're not super high in protein. It's something like 6 grams of protein per 70 calories, which is all right, but not the most high protein thing in the world. Let's see what else he says.
Your connective tissue will get the highest quality amino acids. Eggs are
Again, highest quality amino acids. He's trying to say that it has all the essential amino acids. I mean, any other sort of animal protein or even plant proteins like soy and quinoa are going to give you those complete proteins with all those amino acids. So there's nothing specifically special about eggs compared to any other complete protein source. Kind of hyping them up there.
high in antioxidants, which is really good to prevent something called macular degeneration.
Okay, so he's talking about vitamin A, which is technically an antioxidant. It's a fat-soluble vitamin. You need to have it in your diet. Again, not super unique to eggs. You can find it in red meat. You can find it in plant sources as beta-carotene, which is the it's called pre-vitamin A or plant vitamin A. Beta-carotene essentially gets converted into vitamin A in your body when you eat it. It's in things like carrots and squash and sweet potato. So again, you can get it from other food sources. It's not really going to prevent these issues unless you are, super low in it. If you are deficient in vitamin A, it can start to cause these things, but you're not really like protecting yourself if you're just eating eggs, as long as you're eating enough vitamin A in general. It's not really a big issue. Again, nothing special about it.
As well as cataracts. Eggs are also high in something called choline, which is really good to prevent a fatty liver, as well as...
I don't know about the research on fatty liver. Choline is a neurotransmitter. It's definitely high in eggs, probably a pretty important thing to eat, but I'm not aware of the research on that. I'm sure it's probably like most of the other things where it's just kind of blown out of proportion, though.
Support your brain, better focus, concentration, and memory. Even though eggs...
Yeah, neurotransmitter. It helps with your brain.
Are high in cholesterol, you're going to find that your HDL, the good cholesterol, will go up if you consume eggs. I
don't know if you can just directly say that, because again, I'm not aware of any research showing that specifically, but any sort of dietary cholesterol that you're eating might increase your serum cholesterol, the cholesterol that's in your blood. Different people have different increases based on how much cholesterol they're eating. Not everyone has the same exact increase based on how much. I do know there's kind of a dose-dependent response, meaning if you don't have a lot of cholesterol and you start to eat some, you'll probably see a higher increase than if you already eat a lot of cholesterol. But either way, if you're eating cholesterol, it's going to increase your cholesterol. Eggs also have saturated fat, which is known to increase your cholesterol. It's not specifically just going to increase your good HDL cholesterol. It is going to increase your LDL, which is not the best cholesterol to be having.
If you eat eggs for breakfast, you're going to find your blood sugars are going to be very stabilized, so you're going to feel better throughout the entire...
eggs just aren't a source of sugar. They're not a sugary food, so of course it's not going to spike your blood sugar. So that's true if you're comparing it to something like a breakfast cereal or toast, but also our bodies are pretty well equipped, assuming we don't have diabetes or prediabetes or are insulin resistant. We're pretty well equipped to be able to handle sugar spikes. That's what our pancreas is for, and it's why we produce insulin. Eggs are awesome if you eat animal foods. They have some protein, they have a ton of nutrients, they are extremely nutrient dense. I still eat eggs, but do I eat them because I think they're going to do all this crazy stuff? No, they're just nutrient-dense foods. It's not really much more than that.
If you stopped eating sugar for 2 weeks, this is what would happen. You're going to lose your craving for sugar. You'll be able to go...
That's also not true. A lot of people find that If they already eat a lot of sugar and they get rid of any sugar in their diet, sometimes it does make them not crave it. Other people will find that they'll crave it even more, and it's just going to eventually lead to a desire to binge. And then when you do binge, you're going to eat a lot of it, and you're going to feel bad about yourself. And what does he also mean by sugar? Does he mean like specifically added sugars, which there's more reason to want to cut those out of your diet as much as you can compared to just naturally occurring sugars. But if he means naturally occurring sugars too, then that pretty much cuts out a ton of foods like fruit, which have a ton of natural sugars. And if he just means carbs in general, because carbs are sugars, then that cuts out like even more food. So not sure exactly what he's saying.
Go longer without food. You're going to have a lot more energy.
Wait, what was he saying there?
You're going to lose your craving for sugar. You'll be able to go longer without food.
Okay. Going longer without food. Is that a good thing? I mean, that kind of sounds like you're trying to restrict how much food you're eating in general, which again, if you're just trying to eat as little as you can for as long as you can, that doesn't usually lead to good long-term outcomes. It leads to you getting hungrier. It leads to you wanting to eat more, which is not really the best. For most of my clients that I work with, we usually try and space out smaller meals throughout the day, whether they include sugar or not, because that just tends to give you more feelings of satiety. It doesn't work for everyone. I do have some clients that have to space out and just have like 2 big meals per day. But again, if you're trying to lose fat, whatever your goal is, which I'm assuming if you're trying to eat less food and space out your meals and not eat as much, you're probably trying to lose fat. The biggest thing really is how many calories you're eating. It is not the amount of sugar that you're eating. Of course, you don't want to be eating only sugar. The calories are going to determine what that is, and the best method to stay within a calorie goal is going to be the one that works the best. So that could be spacing your meals out. It could be eating frequently, but really what matters is the calories.
You're going to have a lot more energy because now your body's tapping into your fat reserves to produce its energy.
So that won't give you more energy. It's actually a less efficient process to use fat. And if you're someone who is exercising and resistance training or doing any sort of intense activity, you want to be eating carbs because your body prefers to use carbs because it's more efficient and quicker to use those carbs. They're stored directly in your muscle so that your body can have that energy available to it immediately, quickly. By forcing your body to use fat, it is more stressful, and it's just not going to contribute to you having as optimal of exercise. And again, if you're trying to lose fat, you want to be exercising optimally because you want to be able to maintain that muscle that you have on you when you are losing the fat. Otherwise, if you're not training well, you're not putting up a ton of weight in the gym, you're less likely to keep the muscle that you have, which is then going to lower your metabolism a little bit, and you're just not going to look as good as you would have looked otherwise, and not going to feel as good as you would have looked otherwise or felt otherwise. And your long-term health outcomes also aren't going to be as good because you have less muscle. So again, I've worked with a lot of different clients, a lot of people who've had different approaches, and almost none of them have involved becoming fully fat adapted or going keto. And I can tell that this guy, by sugar, he means pretty much all carbs, which is what I should have anticipated, seeing that he had keto in his bio on Instagram. But yeah, it's the ketogenic diet was essentially designed for people with epilepsy who were treatment resistant, meaning their medications didn't help with their epilepsy symptoms. That is really the only indicated time for that diet. Cutting out sugar does not do anything besides make you perform worse. It might help you with your sugar cravings. Some people say that. But if you're someone who is exercising, which you should be, someone who's lifting, who's trying to keep muscle while losing fat, you're going to want some carbs so that you can do that. And again, most of my clients, they eat a good amount of carbs. We usually sit within the range, the acceptable macronutrient distribution range, which actually starts at 40% of your calories being from carbs, which is quite a bit. It's more than most people think it is. So we usually sit within there. If we are going to have any processed or added sugars or anything like that, we try to have it before or after exercise because that's the time your body's going to use it the most. It's when it's going to help you with your performance and your recovery the most because that's when your body is burning through those carbs by doing the exercise. You can have them whenever you want, of course. I also don't work with people with conditions like diabetes or insulin resistance because that's not within my scope of practice, and the carbohydrate recommendations are probably going to be a little bit different for those people. But again, if you have a functioning body, you are exercising, you're trying to lose fat, carbs are best to have in a good amount, but also to try and space those more quickly absorbed ones around exercise time. That's usually how I like to do it.
Lose more weight. If you were depressed or had anxiety,
Wait, I want to go back again.
Energy, you're going to lose more weight.
Okay. You are going to lose weight if you cut out carbs. You're probably going to lose a lot of weight. but that does not mean that you're losing fat. And if your goal is to slim down, it is to lose fat. It's not to lose weight, because there are several different things that could be contributing to you losing weight, but the biggest one is water. And most people don't know. Carbs, when you eat them, are stored in the body. They're broken down to glucose and stored as something called glycogen, which is essentially a big strand of glucose molecules that is stored, the glucose can be broken off of that for when you need it. It's stored in your muscles and it's stored in your liver. So when your body stores this glycogen, it also stores water alongside it, meaning that you hold on to water weight just by virtue of having carbs on your body. And that's not a bad thing. People hate water weight. They hate the bloated saying, whatever. Your body is meant to hold on to water when it has these carbs. So what happens when you cut the carbs out is your body then dumps a ton of water weight. And for people who have been trying to lose weight for a long time and not succeeding, that can be really inspiring and really motivating, because in a couple weeks, it can look like you've dropped 10, 20 pounds. But in reality, you might not have lost any body fat. And I know several stories of people who have gone on the ketogenic diet. They've lost a ton of weight, but they've actually gained body fat because the food they're eating is super high in fat and super high calorie. You can eat all the bacon in the world that you want. You can eat all the butter in the world that you want if you're ketogenic, and you will lose weight for a time. But that doesn't mean it's fat. And your health could be getting worse. And then if you ever do decide to have a carb again, that water that got removed is going to get stored again from eating those carbs. And it's going to feel like you've erased all your progress. So for a lot of people, especially people who have quite a bit of weight to lose before they can reach their goals, they can lose a ton of weight right away, end up gaining fat, eat carbs again, hop off the diet. Now they're worse off. Their blood markers are worse. Their body fat percentage is worse. And their body weight is worse because they just haven't been able to be successful in this. So that is why, one of the reasons why, it's just usually not a very good approach for most people.
If you were depressed or had anxiety, you're going to feel more up. You're going to start feel more up. You're going to
I don't know how he can make that claim. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch that one.
start thinking better, more concentration, more focus. You're going to notice your skin is just a lot better. It will have that healthy glow. You're going to healthy glow. You're going to notice
again, I don't really know about that one. There is some research showing, if you eat a ton of sugar, it can potentially contribute to things called advanced glycation end products that get stored in your skin. But it's like, is that happening for the average person who's staying within their calorie goal? No. Much of the negative health outcomes that he's associating with sugar just come from overconsumption of sugar and overconsumption of calories in general, which contributes to too much body fat being on your body, obesity. And these are issues that really get fixed by a general healthy lifestyle, usually that includes a decent amount of sugar. And also, I wouldn't be taking advice from him on having wonderful glowing skin.
your body. There's going to be a lot less inflammation and
Again, I don't know where this is even coming from. Besides associating it with people who are obese or overweight, who are already having a trouble with eating way too much sugar. If you're an average person, you're trying to work out, you're trying to get in better shape, it's not going to help with these things. Obviously, focus on having high quality diet, eating as good a food as you can, but you don't have to go keto to do any of these things. Let's see. What else do you got here? The number one worst protein that you could possibly eat. Ooh.
the number one worst protein that you
And
could
he also does this thing where he'll make you wait all the way to the end of the video to figure out what it is. I'm trying to see what it is.
possibly eat.
So we'll be here for a little bit.
3% of the population is consuming this protein. It's not hot dogs. It's not bacon. In fact, doctors even recommend it. Fitness influencers promote it. And you may have consumed this in the last week. This protein actually spikes your insulin, similar to white bread. That means fat storage, inflammation, and brain
Okay, hold on.
for insulin, similar to white bread. That
Spikes your insulin similar to white bread. So a lot of people don't actually know the glycemic index, which is what we kind of use. It's one of the tools we use when we are trying to measure how much something does spike your blood sugar. We have glycemic index and we have glycemic load. Glycemic index is how much a 100-gram serving of a single type of thing spikes your blood sugar, versus glycemic load is comparing or is multiplying that by how much you're actually eating. So certain foods have a higher glycemic index, but we're not always eating 100 grams of an individual food. So usually we focus on glycemic load. But I say that because the glycemic index is kind of based off of white bread or just plain sugar, because white bread does tend to spike the blood sugar pretty fast. But saying that a protein spikes your blood sugar similar to white bread, it's like, I mean, yeah, things that or spikes your insulin similar to white bread. So white bread spikes your blood sugar, which then spikes your insulin. That is just the natural process of things. I'm curious where he's going from with that.
Means fat storage, inflammation, and brain fog. This protein has been known to
Let's pause that.
and brain.
So, just having an increase in insulin does not cause fat storage. It is technically a fat storing molecule, but you have to understand that things that happen in the short term don't really indicate or directly predict what happens in the long term, because if you eat carbs, your body's going to produce insulin and it's going to either store the carbs are going to get stored in your muscles and in your liver, or it's going to get stored as fat. That's just what happens every time you eat calories in the short term. But in the long term, what determines if you're storing fat or not is how many calories you're eating total. If you're eating more or less than your needs, meaning the amount that you expend throughout the day through walking around, through digesting food, through exercise, through your just base level metabolism, insulin is not going to be the make or break factor. If your calories are controlled for in a good way that works for you and you are able to stick to that, your insulin is not going to have anything to do with anything. So don't even worry about it.
Fog. This protein has been known to create problems with your skin. I don't even look at this as a protein. All the sugar and the chemicals added to it, not healthy.
So people are talking about yogurt. I'm assuming he's going to say it's like one of those processed yogurts with added flavorings and sugar added to it. Let's see.
Borders on being a junk food. This is what it is. It's low-fat flavored yogurt. Yes, that's right.
Okay. Low-fat flavored yogurt being the worst protein. I thought you loved these complete proteins. Yogurt's a complete protein. It's low-fat, so it's lower in calories, higher in protein, unlike eggs, which he said earlier were the best protein source. You're getting more protein per calorie of complete protein from low-fat yogurt. And it's flavored, like it could be flavored with sugar, but also it could just be flavored with artificial sweeteners like Oikos 000, which is one that I like to get a lot. They don't have to be with added sugars. You can check the label and see if they have any. But like, come on, man. I love this stuff. He's right. The fitness influencers do promote it. I promote it. I have my clients on it. I'm on it too.
Yogurt that's made from skim milk. A lot of times the yogurt is
Why do you laugh like that? Skim milk. How dare they?
from skim milk. A lot of times the yogurt is pasteurized, so they kill off the microbes to get.
I mean, they probably pasteurize the milk and then ferment it into yogurt. Is that a big deal? You don't want to be fermenting E. coli. Otherwise, you'll just get sick with E. coli.
The best source of protein, consume pasture-raised eggs.
Okay, there he goes again. Pasture-raised eggs. Again, it's all complete protein. If you like yogurt, I think it's great. You can add chia seeds, you can add berries. It's a good way to add in some fruit, some whole grains, some granola, whatever. I use it a lot. I've even added a scoop of whey protein into my yogurt, which the protein in yogurt comes from milk, and milk protein is whey and casein. So when you're having a whey protein powder, they're extracting that from milk. It's the same protein. Just some more information from you or for you to have.
Or grass-fed beef or what?
But you don't have to just only have eggs or
beef
grass-fed beef or fish. You can
is
also
pasteurized.
have yogurt. It's okay to have these things. It's not gonna do anything bad for you. I would recommend you do have yogurt if you are an animal eater or someone who's not, vegan. Yogurt's fine. It's super nutritious, and when they make it out of low-fat milk, it tends to have more micronutrients as well. And like I said, I'd love to just add extra things to it. Just go for it. Let's see. I want to find one more video to react to. Let's be a little more interesting. What is this? What is this product? Ice to it. What is that? Powder. Is he going to tell me what it is? Is he going to say it? Oh, it's hot dogs. Yeah. Processed meat, things like hot dogs, are a carcinogen, unfortunately. For as yummy as they are, they tend to be super high in saturated fat as well. They probably shouldn't be eaten a whole lot. Of course, the process of creating them is pretty nasty. It does not look very fun. That is just what happens when you have large-scale food production. But they are a carcinogen, meaning they are directly linked to cancer for a variety of different reasons. For some of the compounds that are produced from creating them, it's not great. So should you be eating a bunch of hot dogs to get your protein in? Probably not. But if it's the 4th of July or New Year's or whatever and you're grilling some, you're probably going to be okay. Just, try not to expose yourself to a ton of things that are going to cause you cancer, and you might be all right. And I also like to think of doing things that help prevent cancer as little insurance agents, like eating tons of fiber, eating tons of antioxidants, tons of plants. It's going to help you out in the long run. But I think you kind of get the gist of what this guy does. Um, he'll sometimes talk about things that are outside of his scope. Sometimes he'll bring about good points like this. This is what it's like making these ultra processed meat products. They're grinding up animals and putting them into little sleeves and selling it to you, even though it's technically carcinogen. Not as strong as one like alcohol or something, but it is. So this guy is definitely very heavily biased towards the ketogenic diet. He is not a nutrition expert whatsoever. I believe he was just on a public forum with Maha. They had him, Mike Tyson, and a couple other people who really should not have been there. There were no health experts on that panel. But yeah, those are some of his videos. I'm sure you've seen some of them before. He has a really major one with like 1 billion views on seed oils causing fatty liver disease and all that stuff. Not great content. If you want to learn more about nutrition, you should probably find registered dietitians. You should find people with PhDs in nutritional science. People like Dr. Jessica Nurek, who's a registered dietitian, like Dr. Ids. Matthew Nagar is actually a naturopathic doctor, but he does really good with nutrition. Evidence Nutrition on Instagram. Ton of good people out there who make good evidence-based videos. If you want to check those out, I missed a ton of them, but can't remember off the top of my head. So that's what I think of this guy. He's one of the biggest scammers out there. He, of course, sells, let's see what all he sells, a ton of different products. He has his own Dr. Berg supplements, castor oil, magnesium glycinate, B1, electrolyte powder, D3 and K2, all kinds of things that you probably don't need if you are just following a normal healthy diet. But he might convince you that you need by scaring you away from just eating normally. So that's my take. See you later.